Welcome back, Portal Masters. SEL Matt here, and it's a new year. That means we have some top 20 lists to cover. And today, we decided that we're going to include both the top 20 best-selling figures as well as the amended top 20 list, which does not include the starter pack figures, all in one video. So stay tuned for that. I really enjoy these videos because it gives me a good look at what's going on in the shop. It tells me what characters people are buying, what characters we may need to keep an eye out for and make sure we have in stock all the time. Honestly, that's part of the reason a lot of these figures are on the list to begin with, is that we have them in stock most of the time. But if they are selling that much, I should be watching out for them anyway. This is the third year we've been putting out these lists. So now we have even more data to compare from 2023 to 2024 to 2025. One of my favorite things to compare throughout the lists is the number one slot from the previous years and see where would that fall on this year's list. For example, last year in 2024, Series 1 Jetvac was the number one selling figure. But with 608 units sold last year, if that were this year, it would only come in at number 8 on the list. But I think what's even crazier is looking back to 2023. In 2023, Blast Zone was the number one selling figure in the shop with 314 units. If we took those sales numbers and tried to put them on the top 20 list this year, it wouldn't work. 314 units sold would not even make it into the top 20 list this year. So it's safe to say that, yes, the SCL shop is continuing to grow. With that being said, let's take a look at the top 20 best-selling Skylanders figures from the SCL shop in 2025. Coming in at number 20 with 381 units sold, we have Series 1 Shroom Boom. At number 19 with 385 units sold, we have Series 1 Drobot. At number 18 with 392 units sold, we have Series 1 Flameslinger. At number 17 with 407 units sold, we have Crusher. At number 16 with 410 units sold, we have Series 1 Stump Smash. Number 15 with 428 units sold, we have Series 1 Stealth Elf. At number 14 with 434 units sold, we have Hothead. At number 13 with 460 units sold, we have Snapshot. This is one of the most impressive figures to me because the amount of broken, or I should say damaged snapshots we get into the shop is wild. That if you've ever bought a damaged mystery box from us, there's a good chance that it had a snapshot in it. At number 12, with 479 units sold, we have Series 1 Jetvac. At number 11, with 524 units sold, we have the Water Tiki Trap. Now, as we enter the top 10, it occurred to me, one thing we don't have this year, which we've always had in previous years, is a tie. But I suppose as the numbers continue to grow, it's going to be less and less likely to have a tie just because there's more numbers in between them. Although I actually don't know what the odds of that are. I'm not a statistician. In any case, moving on to the top 10. Sitting at number 10 with 534 units sold, the Life Hammer Trap. At number 9 with 558 units sold, we have Series 2 Cinder. At number 8 with 577 units sold, Food Fight. At number 7 with 617 units sold, we have Series 1 Gil Grunt. At number 6 with 624 units sold, we have Series 1 Spyro, the dragon that started it all. At number 5 with 642 units sold, we have Series 1 Trigger Happy. So that rounds out the original trio, right there in a row. We have the first 3 Skylanders figures from the Spyro's Adventure Starter Pack. At number 4, with 658 units sold, we have Series 3 Stealth Elf. At number 3, with 687 units sold, we have Washbuckler. At number 2, with 691 units sold, we have Blast Zone. And the number 1 best-selling figure in all of 2025, with an absolutely massive 868 units sold. That's not a typo, that's not a misspeak. 868 units sold. We have T-Rex. Now this is one that honestly surprised me quite a bit, and how big the gap was between first and second. Like, we have plenty of Washbucklers and Blast Zone figures. Like, I don't think they've ever actually sold out. We have plenty of overstock, we have plenty in inventory, there's plenty to go around. And so the fact that T-Rex somehow sold like what, 180-ish more figures than Washbuckler or Blast Zone just blows my mind. But that's where it is. That's what happened in 2025. People really like T-Rex. Another one that I like to see on here was Food Fight, actually. 577 units sold, and that was without any help from a huge mass buy, bulk buy from Boombringer this year. Last year, we had the whole story where he bought 358 Food Fights in one go, and, well, still only ended up second on the list. But last year, we sold 566 Food Fights, which included that 358 all at once, but we didn't have that this year, and we still sold 11 more than last year. So once again, things are looking up for Skylanders. I have a few more comparisons I want to make, but before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at the top 20 amended list. So if you're not familiar with this list, this is just the top 20 best-selling figures from 2025. That does not include any starter pack figures, because naturally there are more starter figures produced. They are cheaper in the shop. They're just more available typically than the other figures, and therefore we expect them to sell more than the other figures. However, the amended list that does not include any starter pack figures is sometimes just more interesting. It's interesting to see what other figures people are going after, what's at the top of their list, and are they still just the cheapest figures out there, or are there some outliers for some reason? Now, you already know the top 7 figures on this list because they were in the top 20 overall. So we're going to recap those first. We'll go 1 to 20 here and then continue on with the list. In the amended list, at number 1 is Hothead with 434 units sold. Number 2 is Series 1 Stealth Elf with 428 units sold. Number 3 is Series 1 Stump Smash with 410. Number 4 is Crusher with 407 units. Number 5 is Series 1 Flameslinger with 392 units. Number 6 is Series 1 Drobot at 385 units. And number 7 is Series 1 Shroomboom at 381 units. So now it's time to find out what the rest of this list contains, the final 13 figures that were not on the first list. At number 8, with 378 units sold, we have Dino Ring. At number 9, with 376 units sold, we have Series 1 Pop Fizz. At number 10, with 373 units sold, we have Series 1 Igniter. At number 11, with 354 units sold, we have Series 1 Wrecking Ball. At number 12, with 353 units sold, we have Series 1 Sonic Boom. At number 13, with 351 units sold, we have Series 1 Drill Sergeant. At number 14, with 334 units sold, we have Series 1 Double Trouble. At number 15, with 331 units sold, we have Series 1 Terrafin. Then coming in at number 16, we have our first tie. Our first and only tie, actually. So 16 and 17, with 323 units sold, is shared by Eyebrawl and Series 2 Chop Chop. At number 18, with 314 units sold, we have Series 1 Eruptor. At number 19, with 311 units sold, we have Bouncer. And to wrap up the list, at number 20, with 309 units sold, we have Thumpback. Now, Thumpback being on this list doesn't really surprise me at all. I think he's been on the list every year that we've been tracking it. And I think what surprises me the most is that he continues to be on the list because we continue to sell out of him every week. Like, we don't sell out of every giant every week, but Thumpback and usually Ninjini are the ones we sell out of every week. So the fact that we've been able to get in enough figures for him to even make it on this list is impressive. I think he's one of those figures that if we got 1,000 Thumpbacks in throughout the year that weren't damaged, then he'd probably be number 1 on the list. This amended list wasn't as surprising to me as in past years. This list basically contains a lot of Series 1 Spyro's Adventure figures, a few Giants, a few Series 2 figures, and a few Series 1 figures from Giants, but really nothing beyond that. Like, this is the stuff that we have in stock consistently, and therefore we can sell the most of it. The biggest surprises, I think, come with how many Giants are on this list, because we have started selling out of them this year. I think every Giant has been out of stock at some point throughout this year. Maybe not all at the same time, but I think they all have been out of stock at one point or another. But as I mentioned earlier, I like to compare these lists and look at some of the growth that we've seen over the past few years. I mentioned a few times Hothead already. We had, back in 2023, we sold 286. In 2024, we sold 273. So small difference, but basically the same number. But then now in 2025, we sold 434. Like, that's a huge jump. We basically sold more than 150 extra Hotheads this year. Looking across all 3 of these lists, you can see there's been massive jumps in just about every figure this year. And it just goes to show that, yeah, Skylanders has definitely seen an uptick in sales in 2025. But let me know down in the comments below, is there anything on this list that surprised you? Whether it's the quantity of a specific figure we sold, or you're surprised that a figure was on the list, or surprised that there was a figure missing from the list. Let me know what you think down below. Stay tuned for next week's video. Part of the reason we decided to combine the list this week with the top 20 and the top 20 amended is we have a special video coming next week where we discuss the worst selling figures in 2025. It's going to be a good one.